Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna introduce myself in a way. I don't know if you read my introduction already, but I'm gonna say it anyway. My name is Marcio. I'm from
Yeah, I
Peru.
actually read it.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a little quick introduction. Yeah, I'm from Peru. I was born and raised there. Came to the States 4 years ago to be able to well, to pursue a college education. I went to how do you call this? City College, called San Jose City College, and then transferred to San Jose State in 2022. Yeah, and I'm majoring in marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
Yeah, I'm Kevin Tai. Grew up pretty much all my life in San Jose, California, America. So that's pretty much it. I didn't really have too much interesting things to say. I mean, I put my background up and I actually changed a couple of things so you can read it there. But yeah, just my major is business analytics, aka also data science, and I am graduating this semester. So yay.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Max, and I was born and raised in China. So my first name is actually not Max. Legally, I took this name because I watched Mad Max, and I really like that movie.
mhm.
And I also need a new name because my original name is a little too difficult for Japanese people to pronounce and to remember. And Max is very easy. So
That
that's
makes
why I named
sense.
myself. Yeah.
And that does make sense.
And yeah,
Yeah. So what's your major again?
yeah,
I'm
I
assuming.
grew up, sorry. Yeah, my major is American
Okay.
literature. Yeah, and I'm planning to go to the graduate school to study further. And
Cool,
right
cool.
now I'm writing a dissertation about Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Ooh,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't know if you heard about that. It's uh, adapted to a movie
Blade Runner.
called
Yeah, I know.
Blade Runner. Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, that's
That's
pretty
pretty cool.
fun.
I'm assuming you speak three languages:
Yeah,
English, Japanese, and
yeah,
what
actually,
form of
Chinese,
Chinese? Mandarin, Cantonese,
Mandarin. Yeah,
Mandarin. Okay, pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, I have a question for. Sorry, how do I pronounce your name? Marcio?
Yeah.
Marcio.
Marcisio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcio.
Just
Yeah.
just
So
leave.
your last name looks super Japanese, but
Hmm.
you said you are from Peru.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of confused.
Yeah. So technically half Japanese. My father's side of the family is Japanese, but my grandfather didn't pass the traditions or the language to my father. I don't know why, but that's how it happened. And yeah, as a result, I don't know how to speak Japanese nor I'm not familiar with any type of with Japanese culture either. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So are there a lot Japanese people living in Peru?
Hmm. Yeah, we even had a president who was half
Wow, I didn't
Japanese.
know that.
Yeah. He was yeah in the 90s. His name was Alberto Fujimori, but yeah, it's in my life story. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Forgot that. Sorry. So I know there are a lot of Japanese people in Brazil,
Yeah.
and Peru is kind of close to
Hmm.
that area, right?
Yeah, I think we are the uh fifth largest diaspora of Japanese in the world. Yeah.
Oh,
And probably the second one in South America.
wow.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, no.
And I also have a question for Kevin too.
yeah,
So
sure thing.
your last name is Thai, but normally I saw Thai as a country, not a last name.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Try guessing. I love doing the guessing game. Where do you think I'm
So
from?
Well, with the last name like that, I would guess maybe it's East South Asia.
Southeast Asia would be correct, yes.
Is
But
it
I
actual
am not.
Thai?
No, I am not Thai.
Okay, then where is this? If you don't mind.
Um, I am not Chinese. I am not Laos. I am Vietnamese.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I actually know a few Vietnamese people. They are very nice.
Yeah.
Mm. So
Um,
why would a last name, a Vietnamese last name called Thai? That does it have
hon-
something to do with the country Thai? I'm
Honestly, I don't
curious.
really know. I never really delved deep enough to
Um,
like understand why that is the way it is. Like I know about Nguyen and that last name, but for my own, I never really did any research as to why
mm.
it's a Vietnamese last name.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. I'm just curious. Thank you.
You're good, yeah.
Mm.
Despite
Yeah,
that, though, pe people say I don't look Vietnamese, so yeah.
Well, I don't know what you look like, so I can
You could.
judge.
My room's a mess right now. That's why I have my camera on.
Oh, it's
But
okay.
you
You
could
don't have to
you
carry
could
them.
you could see in my life story.
I'm
It's
sorry.
yeah, my
Oh,
life story.
no.
I put it there.
Let me open that website. Wait, no, this one. It's this one. SJS UKU student self introduction. Oh, by the way, Marcio, you don't really look like your picture on the website.
I did
I
my
don't know why.
hair on that day.
Oh, it's here. Yeah. Me too. I have a total different hair. Oh, okay. Where's Kevin? Okay.
I am
I
the
don't see
last.
you.
I should
Are
be
you
the
sure
last
you're
one, I think.
last one?
I should be the last one. Yeah.
Last one is named Kasara Kaholi. I don't know how to pronounce that. I, are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be there.
No,
He has a nice picture. He's like this.
no,
I'm gonna show you. He's
I
like this.
don't see
Yeah.
it.
I guess here it's you could see the link I posted if you can't find it.
Yeah, that's the link I'm watching right now, and
Yeah.
I don't see anyone named Kevin. Oh, wait,
Bottom
oh, it's the
bottom
black
right.
and white.
Yeah.
Oh, you look very Japanese, actually.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. They Japanese or
Yeah,
Korean.
yeah. Are you sure you're Vietnamese?
That's what people tell me. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I take it with pride, honestly. I think Japanese and Koreans are probably the best looking, so I don't take it as an insult.
Yeah, you just pretend you are. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, by the way, nice picture. Hmm. All right. So, how are we going to make this discussion? Are we going to give an overall impression or just get into the details?
Let
Honestly, it's whatever. Because
yeah.
last time we didn't even really get to have a conversation with the other Japanese student.
Oh, why
Because
not?
one it's mostly like time scheduling, but the other one is the other fact is that communication
So
was
they don't
really
really
kind
speak
of hard to.
English?
Yeah, they were not
Not
able to.
necessarily just as good as me. So I had to go on DeepL and type out some sentences in Japanese for them to kind of understand.
Yeah, that'd be painful.
It
Yeah,
was
And yeah,
yeah.
and when they are talking, it's kind of difficult to understand because of the accent, right? Because I
Not
remember the first 2 years I was here, and
mm,
it's so difficult to understand what people are saying. And then,
I
of
actually
course, now I'm used to it.
yeah. I actually didn't struggle too badly because I took a semester of Japanese
Oh,
freshman year, so it's been like 5 years. but
Hmm.
I went to Japan recently, so I was able to practice and brush up on my Japanese skills a little bit. So I was somewhat able to communicate somewhat.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm really, really rusty.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not gonna speak Japanese for now,
I
but
get the
don't
guns.
worry. Okay, so who's first?
I guess I could go since I just did a refresher watching the episode. I mean, I really like the parallels that they're doing between the past and the present with the grandson and the grandma. Because I
Hmm.
mean, nearing the end, right, it was kind of almost like I put this a reflection between the two. Like he has his own love issues going on while his grandma was doing the same thing with the one guy. Kind of, it was kind of like um interesting with their love lives, I guess. But other
Hmm.
than that, I thought they did the entire episode pretty well. I was really, really invested into the grandson side of the story and his experiences, especially when he was talking to the American and the other Japanese girl.
Hmm.
I found his perspective the most intriguing to me personally.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Max, do you watch the whole show already, or did you have you just watched like the first two episodes? Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Your internet, or maybe
He
it's my
asked
internet.
if you,
Oh yeah,
yeah, no, you're
probably I
Could
got
good.
you
cut
repeat
off.
that again? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Have you watched the whole show already, or have you only watched the first two episodes?
So our schedule is so Thursday the second class, no second, Thursday the third class is our demi class. And Steve, which is our professor here, he will show us this show in a room, and that's how we watch it every week. So we don't have to pay Apple TV.
Oh, you got lucky.
However, I watched individually. Yeah, because I have a class at that time, so I can do it. So I have to watch it on my own. Yeah, but I'm follow their schedule, which is one episode a week.
Hmm.
So now I'm on episode two. I finished it. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So,
How do you guys watch? You guys watch individually or
yeah,
together?
Uh, I have a friend that I have to go over to his place and then watch it with.
Mm,
yeah,
So it's kind of hard to schedule stuff sometimes.
yeah.
yeah.
I already told him that that was pretty smart. But in
Mm,
my case, I had to pay for Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus,
yeah, me
and
too.
yeah, I mean it's kind of worth it because I don't have access to the shows, but it is what it is. The bottom line was that because I have the I pay for the whole thing, and because the show was really interested, I was able to finish it all.
Yeah, you
And
just
Mm.
binge watched everything.
Oh, you guys already finished?
yeah, I already watched the full.
Marcisio at the very least. I don't have the luxury to binge watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. Like these stage of the story, we will see how influential that relationship of between Sunja and the fish broker will be for the plot. Uh, because basically everything will go around their relationship. But
Yeah, I actually already have a feeling of what's going on next. So the guy mentioned that he lives in Osaka, right? And
Yeah.
the old Zhangja also lives in Osaka, so I presume she went up to Japan with him, but then he died for some reason. That's why he never showed up again.
That
And
makes
that's
the most
why she always hates the Japanese.
yeah, that makes the most logical sense.
Yeah, that's just
because
my speculation.
Yeah, because she lives in Osaka currently and had a family there and everything, so it's the most likely thing.
Yeah. Is that what always happens?
Yeah. Sorry, say that
Hmm.
again.
Oh, so I was asking, is my prediction actually the real plot?
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay. I'm just curious. Don't tell me actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah,
spoil.
yeah, yeah. So, have you heard about? Were you familiar with like the word Shinichi? Because that's one of the that's what I personally didn't know about before. The word Shinichi, which now is being used to basically refer to the Koreans in Japan.
Oh, Dainichi, right?
Yeah, Shinichi.
Ah, I don't think they use this word now.
Mhm.
Now it's more like uh, oh, actually, I think they do use it. So every foreigner in Japan is a Dainichi Gaigakujin,
Mhm.
and if you are applying for like student visa, and you will receive a Dairu card.
Mhm.
So Dairu means you are currently staying in Japan. I think it's about the same thing, right? Dainichi Dairu. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a pretty common phrase, I think.
Mm. Yeah, because what Yasuo Sensei told us was that now Japanese people use that, I mean, associate that word with Koreans. Like she clarified that yeah, it's used for all foreigners in general, but it's mainly associated with Koreans for some reason. And this
Oh,
show kind of explains why, right?
oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And what else? Did you know any of the actors before watching the show? Were you familiar with any of the actors participating in the show?
Not really. Oh wait, I recognize one guy. His name is Tommy. So Tom, right?
Mhm.
He's Solomon's like supervisor or something at Osaka. That white guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Solomon.
I
Yeah,
recognize him from other shows.
Cool.
I think he's in Westworld, right? Season one.
I have not seen Westworld yet, but I'm believing it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same person. But other than that, I don't recognize any actors
Mhm.
because I don't really watch Korean shows. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, me
Do
neither.
you guys recognize any? No?
Not really. Even then, like I forget names easily.
Same here.
But I have not seen this actor in any other things, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. And I think they generally did a good job in terms of casting. Like
Yeah.
the actor for Sungja, when she grew up and the old Sungja, I think they look like the same person but just different age.
Yeah.
And the adult Sungja look a lot like her mother. I
Cool.
don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I
The
agree.
casting was on point. Same thing with the performance. They're actually pretty engaging. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
very, how do I put this, dramatized in a certain way. Like, K
Mm.
dramas and to an extent other dramas as well. Usually they have a certain portrayal. It comes off a little bit too overly dramatic at times.
Yeah.
This one just
Mm.
feels very realistic since it's more of an American production.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I was gonna say, one of the scenes that was very impactful to me was when the grandson of Sunja walks into the office in Japan,
Last episode,
a
yeah.
company, yeah, yeah, a company he's working for, and everybody
Mhm.
turns at him. He's
He
everybody
just
looks at him.
stares.
There's at him like if like if they knew he was Korean, but I'm like, how do they know? Well, I mean, how can you tell if someone is Korean or not? And that's what I was
I mean,
talking to Kevin
he's a
about.
stranger. That's probably why they are looking at him. That's my
Oh, since he's new. The new
Yeah, because
blood.
no one saw him before, right?
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I was about to say, with your experiences in Japan, have anyone like specifically singled you out as Chinese or in like,
No,
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, do you really make the effort to get to turn your head and look at everybody that is like passing by? Really? Because I personally wouldn't do that. I would be focused on my
Yeah,
work.
that scene was for dramatic
uh,
effect.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean that's what I was trying to that was my point in a way. The message was clear, you know, that they were trying to represent that scenarios in which some Koreans in Japan that some Koreans in Japan experience. Like I know that here in the US it also happens with some of us, you know, people of color, people that, you know, others just stare at us as if we were like weirdos or like if it's obvious, right? We don't fit in. We don't fit in. But it was even more impactful to me. For that, it was more impactful to me when I saw that scene because you cannot tell if someone is Korean, if someone's Japanese, if someone, you know, if someone is from Vietnam. You can't.
yeah,
But in that case, they all just turn around and starting staring at him. It was just, you know, it was just bad. It was just bad.
yeah. And
Mm.
to be fair, he looks super Korean, Solomon. I mean, the facial feature, I don't know how to
Really?
describe it. Yeah. The first time I saw his face, I knew this guy is from Korea
That's
because
interesting.
some people it look like that. However, it doesn't mean every Korean or every Japanese or every Chinese look very distinctively
Interesting.
different.
Mhm.
Just some people are very unique in that term.
Hmm.
I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Very interesting. Yeah. Hmm. No, I wouldn't be able. I mean, something similar happens within people of my race because I'm, you know, like I said, I'm half Peruvian, meaning half indigenous. So most people from the neighboring countries look like me, and if we are in the same room, like you cannot tell who is from which country. It's very difficult. But I guess, yeah, you could also say that, oh, there are certain features that are very unique to this country. That's why you can tell.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's the cheekbones of Solomon. It's pretty high, and then that's a very stereotypical Korean feature. I think. Have you watched Lost, the TV show?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, just there's a Korean actor in that show. He's pretty famous, I think. He's all over the place, and he looks exactly like Solomon, but older. Yeah, hopefully it's not racist to say that, but they do look very similar. These two actors, and and the moment you saw him, you think this guy is probably from Korea,
What
and
are the
that's how I
features
think.
exactly
Yeah.
that make them stand out?
It's the eye and the cheekbones. It's pretty unique compared to other East Asian people, I think.
Hmm.
And the next time you saw Solomon, you can pay attention to that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Although I think the actor plays his father looks super Japanese, which is weird because Solomon looks super Korean, but his father is also supposed to be a Korean, but
Well,
he
yeah,
looks very
Korean.
Japanese. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Hmm. No, honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell. Honestly, yeah, honestly, no. But yeah, it's interesting to learn about that. Do you know if Koreans receive a similar type of discrimination in China? Because obviously we know that it happened in Japan during the occupation of Korea, obviously. but I don't know like if it happens within other countries that are close to Korea in a way.
Yeah, so the Korean is in the northeast part of China, right?
Mhm.
And the people in that area, because they have hundreds, thousands of years living together, so they kind of like blend in those features because they all just marry each other and live next to each other. So the Chinese people in the northeast part look very similar to those who live in Korea
Uh-huh.
in terms of how they look, and that's why I don't think they will be like discriminated or something
But
because
are those people part of the
yeah,
Han are also considered to be Han?
yeah. Oh yeah, Han is the biggest ethnicity group in China. Yeah, that's what
Like
we're talking about, right?
mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So some people, although they might be Han, however, but because they live there and they probably have Korean blood, so they don't look very similar to other Han. And just remember, there's a huge difference in terms of the ethnicity of people living in China. So in the south, you have people look more like Vietnamese, Thais, and the Filipinos because they are in a very close area to each other, which is more South Asia,
Hmm.
and that's very reasonable thing. And because people living in the east part of China, which is very close to Japan, and that's where I come from, and people there usually can tell the difference between them and just every Japanese person. And there are people living in the west and in the middle, and the people in the most west, they more like Arabs, Middle Eastern people. So it's really complicated situation.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you figured out how to do it. Okay.
Yeah, I cleaned my room a little while you
Oh,
guys were talking. Um,
yeah, it's pretty clean.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool to know. Yeah. Because I'm taking an international marketing class and it's been a unique experience because we've basically been memorizing different parts of the map of the world. And
Mm,
the last few weeks we've been memorizing basically all Asia, technically, from Pakistan up to until Japan. So
mm,
yeah, we've learned about the Han and all that kind of all the things related to China because it's a big market and blah blah blah, and as well as Japan and Korea too. So yeah, it's been interesting. And but I think it it that this Japanese class definitely helps to implement a well serves as a good implementation, or how can I say it? Basically, it's complementary with what I'm learning from the marketing class,
mm.
because you at the end of the day have to pay attention to social issues too in business sometimes, and that's why I was
Yeah.
asking. Yeah, like
Yeah, it's
for
always
you,
good to learn more about other people.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're talking about before getting to the ethnicity.
We were talking about how they were able to single out him as Korean based off his features.
Oh, yeah. I think that the day subject is almost finished in terms of discussion, right?
Hmm.
Well, okay, let's talk
Yeah,
about
because you,
something
you
else.
said that basically it was because he was not foreign, he was new to the company, a new young guy. That's why they were looking at him sort of strangely,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
as
It could
opposed
be,
to
or it could be he's Korean. I'm not sure.
yeah. So like their facial features, right? You said their cheekbones and what the way they
Yeah.
style their hair, or
It's the cheekbone and the shape of the eye. And it's hard to describe, but if you pay more attention when you look at Korean people, you will see.
Like, is this? Do you learn on your own how to differentiate between, Koreans and not non-Koreans, or because you were able to notice it on your own, or like, well, there was someone else who told you, oh, by the way, have you noticed this about Koreans?
Nobody told me that, but because I have lived in China for 19 years and another 5 years in Japan, so I have the chance to meet all kinds of people from East Asia.
Mhm.
I know lots of Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, and some Vietnamese. So that's how I start to establish this impression of certain people from certain area tend to look certain way. It's not really someone told me that. I just found that during years of experiences. Yeah.
No, that's
that's
cool.
what my friend told me as well when because he's stationed right now in Japan currently, and he got to meet a couple like Korean people and Japanese, who's able to actually distinguish them from one another.
Mm.
Wow.
Like it's just something that when you live there for a bit, you just kind of notice.
Mm.
Yeah, you can certainly notice that. I don't know. I think of all three, three groups I have contacted the most, I think Korean is the most distinctive in terms of the appearance because
Mm.
it's really difficult to tell certain Chinese people to Japanese because I uh, there's an old lady Japanese I know and she looks exactly like my grandma and that's kind of weird to talk to her because they look so much alike.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay. Did you
mhm.
I mean, yeah. I personally never knew what the context of, I mean, let me take that back and let me say that when I was in high school in Peru, I learned that Japan invaded practically most of Asia, and that was it, right? It was just part of a chapter of my history class, of my history book from my history class, and that was it, and I moved on. But now that I'm learning about how the Japanese were treating the Koreans back then, and now that I have ability to basically connect a face to the stories that are being told about the experiences of those Koreans during that time, I think that I was able to basically understand better what they were feeling. I don't know if you,
Mm.
you also got that from the show.
I could be the minority here because as in China at school,
Mhm.
we were taught extensively about the bad things Japanese did back
Japan,
in the
yeah, that
day.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Cool.
because the Communist Party, of course, they want to brainwash you into submission. They want to tell you everybody else is evil and only they are good. So you will believe them more easily. So that's what happened in China, and it's still going on, of course. But however, just when I come to Japan, I noticed that everybody is actually super nice, and they are not what I read. in the books. Yeah, and then I realized none of these people that I met, I talked to, actually invaded China or Korea. Their great grandpa maybe did, but not them.
Oh, of course,
And
yeah.
I was never attacked or be
Mhm.
or lived under occupation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
why should I hate them for that? That's ridiculous.
Right. No, obviously, no.
So,
We're not
yeah,
going, oh, you invaded us. Now we're gonna, you're gonna pay. No. I don't think that's gonna be the case. But what I'm trying to refer to is that, in a way, it became something meaningful to me because I was finally, like, I'm gonna say it again. I was finally like able to connect a face to the story, or well, a personal story to the context, right? It was because it was difficult to relate before, right? It was just raw data. It was just raw information, But now they're telling you a tale. They're telling you a story. They're telling you, they're describing exactly what happened to this person. And even though it's a drama, I know, like Kevin was saying, K dramas are dramatic. That's just how it is. But it definitely, I mean, personally, it's presenting a good idea of how it was back then, and you know you're able to see why I think it's really necessary to bring up this type of uh, issues again,
Discussion. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. I
conversation.
do think it's important to remember the history,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean you should hate the people who
Oh, no, no,
never
no, no,
did
no,
those
no,
things.
no, no, no,
Right?
no, no, no,
So,
no,
I
no.
mean, people in China do that. I'm not saying you,
Uh-huh.
yeah, because the majority of Chinese people probably don't like Japan because those Japanese people's great grandpa did 100 years ago, and they're hating the people now for that, which is ridiculous things to me. And you are saying when you watch this, it's like it connects uh, history you read on book to what's really going on, and I think that's great. And but it's kind of different for me because growing up in China, I've seen similar things, but
Mhm.
it's worse, 10 times worse, the way they depicted it. So when I was watching this show, I was thinking, hey, it's actually pretty mild, the
Right. Yeah.
way
Yeah.
they're portraying it.
I thought
Mm,
that the portrayal was rather fair. It was since it's American production. I mean,
yeah,
albeit the director is Korean, so there's gonna be a little bit of bias.
Hmm.
But I thought overall, since
yeah,
American is a fair depiction. Like, I'll be honest,
yeah,
Japan has some serious war crimes and atrocities that they commit, but like you said, it's World War II. Japan was different back then, prior to modern day Japan. Now it's generation difference. Like after Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Japan went surrendered and they went on this pacification act in which
yeah,
they're trying to like pacify their citizens and the whole um you know enthusiasm and feelings towards things. So they had them mellow out, and with time, new generations just became how they are today, and that's how they got their reputation, for being so polite and hospitable, which
yeah,
I can attest for since I actually went there myself as well.
yeah,
Uh,
No, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Um, like Max was saying, it's useless to live in the past because now we are in the present. Things are much different right now. Like Kevin was saying,
yeah,
Japanese people are completely different now.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just still a good discussion to have
Right.
in
That,
order,
that,
like,
that I was trying to
expose,
get to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
to expose, like, have the Japanese people,
Definitely.
be exposed to like such history and past and whatnot. Like, their feelings don't have to change, but at least it's good to know about it. That's the thing. Like, the only issue, at least right now, currently with, Korea and Japan, is just because of the fact that Japan never really fully acknowledged the stuff that they done.
Mhm.
It, in fairness, the next generation doesn't know exactly what they done, so they can't really attest to anything.
Yeah.
But that's where most of the conflict comes from.
And going back to the point of Max when he was saying, that he knows about things that were much worse than the ones being portrayed in the show that happened in China or happened to the Chinese people. I think yeah, that's definitely a good point to bring up, and that's also something that people should take into consideration when creating shows, because uh this is simultaneously a way to bring up again these type of conversations. And even though it's never gonna be perfect, it's never gonna be like, oh, this is exactly what happened, or you forgot about including this part that was much worse, even though it's never gonna be that way. It's still, up to this point, one of the only ways we have access, we have a door to that historical context to see, the suffering and all the pain that was inflicted in a specific group of people, and how that group of people ended up enduring, face the situation and were able to overcome it.
Yeah. And I actually read some Japanese students' review on this show,
Hmm.
and then they're saying, "Oh, I actually never learned about this history. They never told me at school." And I was like, "Of course they didn't. When I was in school, they never told me anything the Communist Party did, the horrible things. They don't teach you. Of course they don't, because they are in charge, and the history is wrote by the victors."
Mm.
And in Japan, of course, they will try to minimize all the bad things Japanese did in the past.
You know what's the funny thing though about that? Like the Communist Chinese Party, the CCP, kind of owe their position now to the Japanese, because when they came in occupied and did all the horrendous stuff, they actually created power vacuum that was left so that they could literally easily come in and take the power.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of the
exactly what they
ironic
did.
thing about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they received tons of support from the Soviet Union. That's how they crushed their opponents and drove them to Taiwan.
Yeah.
However, they like to portray it as, oh, the people of China realize only communists can save China. That's why they supported them. It's just nonsense. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what they teach. Yeah.
I mean, as for Japanese, them learning this history and whatnot, like I can understand why they don't really prioritize it. It's not something that they're proud of, and they would rather have everything quietly go away. Like based on doing a little bit of research from the reading, like Japanese people are not they don't like confrontation. If they could just let bygones be bygones and just forget about this all, they would, which is I'm assuming kind of what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
Which
I'm fine with this. I
yeah,
don't know why.
because at the end of the day, right, most of the people from World War II are gone. And the modern day Japanese people are, fairly hospitable and have a good reputation now. They don't really need to be exposed to that in order to I guess change for the better, because I think the current Japanese mindset when I was still is pretty open, especially to foreigners and whatnot. I think still it's like like I remember seeing some documentary and whatnot. If you move to Japan and all that, so you still won't ever be considered Japanese. But that's a very Japanese way of thinking, actually. Because no, it's like I was watching this one thing where this one guy, he's a Caucasian male, third generation Japanese, because his family lived there and whatnot, and is very fluent in Japanese, grew up there. That's basically his thing. But he never felt like he was Japanese himself, even though he is a citizen, third generation. But he claims that he never really felt like he was Japanese, which is something very Japanese to say in a sense.
That's true. Yeah.
Because that's the politeness that they have. Apparently, they always tries to be as super respectful as possible and attributes the opposition or the other side as you know, the most correct, I guess.
Yeah.
Like if I recall, like in dialogue as well, like you're supposed to, when someone says, "Hey, let's go do something," you're supposed to say respectively, like, or they compliment you, right? You're not supposed to say, "Wow, thank you." You're supposed to say, "No, no, no, you," and then it's just constant back and forth of like saying, "No, it's
Yeah.
you," and all that stuff. Yeah, so it's just that type of um like deposition, I guess, that they have, which is really really cool. Like I'd
Yeah,
say
I
it
think
is good to talk about, but at this point in time, like it doesn't necessarily matter. It's just that people hold grudges. So yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see how the future Japanese generations will deal with other nations, especially the ones that they really are at conflict with.
yeah. I mean, I have hope for Japan because at least they are under this democratic system. They held elections every year, and they have all kinds of freedom, rights. Oh, well, not including owning guns, of course. But otherwise, it's kind of similar to the United States because the constitution they have now is established after World War II by the Americans. Yeah, so they brought all these things in Japan, and they are using it pretty well. Yeah, and unlike
Yeah.
China, which is a totally different story.
So like you haven't had any like necessarily hostile experiences with the Japanese people so far?
Not at all. So
Wow. Yeah.
every Japanese person I met is super polite and respectful. I just maybe it's good luck. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
never
I
met
mean,
any.
yeah, I had the same experience when I was there. Pretty much, I could attest. I really really enjoyed my time in Japan. Like, unironically,
Yeah,
it was definitely one of my favorite trips. I went there only recently over the summer.
great.
Yeah,
So where did you go?
I went to at first we were in Shibuya for a bit for 2 days, and after that we traveled to Osaka
Mm,
to stay there for a couple days, and then we traveled back to Ginza, and that's pretty much my entire trip.
mm,
We basically did all that in about a week. It was not enough time, but I genuinely did enjoy my time in Osaka. I felt like Tokyo would be definitely better if we had basically a whole week there.
mm.
Because Tokyo is just huge. It's the most busiest part. And it's like so many different prefectures as well.
Yeah, it's so almost like China.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that's part of the reason why I like Kagoshima because there are so few people here compared to other big cities.
That makes
So
sense.
everybody is living this slow life rhythm and super chill and relaxed, which is ideal for me.
Yeah, it's not like Tokyo where it's like constantly busy.
Yeah,
That's so like it's like New York. Constantly life
yeah,
is constantly bustling.
exactly. Yeah. Mm. And here is more like I don't know, Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. So I'm just
Mm.
curious. Have you ever been to outside of Japan, other countries outside of China? To other countries,
Not
sorry.
really, because I don't really like to travel.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fair.
Too much trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least been to all the other islands in Japan, like well, I'm kind of blanking right now. They got Tsushima, but there's the other one.
Mm-hmm.
What's the beach island with the kind of all the resorts and whatnot? It was
Okinawa. Mm.
Okinawa. Hi, yeah.
Okinawa. Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you
And
been there?
Oh, you've been to Okinawa?
not okay. Sorry.
You should go. My friend's from there. Well, I mean,
Oh,
he's stationed there right now as a member of the Marine Corps.
Oh.
And I
oh,
mean, it's they have really nice beaches, and I think one of the best aquariums
Yeah.
Apparently, it's supposed to
Yeah.
be out the one in Osaka, which I went to, and that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
The population of Osaka is really interesting because they're also supposed to be part of the group of seniors. Well, it has a lot of people who are over 100. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they are like completely healthy, and a lot of people have gone there to Okinawa to do some research on the lifestyle of these seniors who are over 100, because they want to know what their technique is, what their secret is to be able to stay that healthy and live that long.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like their diet and lifestyle, if I recall, if that study.
Mm.
Was it a culture shock for you, like trying to like fit into the Japanese society? Like, because it's
Yeah.
very different. Like, there's so many rules you have to follow. Like, I remember on the escalator stairs, you have to be on the left side.
Well, in terms of road rules, yeah. So the Japanese cars have the driver's seat on the right side,
Yeah.
like in UK, not on
Mm.
the left, like most countries. So, so when you're on the road, you stick to the left
Yeah,
side,
I remember
and
that actually.
that's kind of
Yeah, we
tricky
had
at
a
first.
friend who had a car
Yeah.
that she was able to drive around. But like the cool thing I remember was that like when we were like going upstairs or something, like or escalators, everyone would be on the left side making room for someone who's in a rush to like walk or in a hurry on the right side and all that stuff. And as well as the trash as well. They took throwing away either recycling. I mean, even to a bigger degree, like, oh, you have metal or plastic, you gotta throw it in the correct container, trash bin.
Yeah, that's
And
very tricky.
yeah, and honestly, I was struggling finding the one, especially at airport or something. I just couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, me too. The first few months I was here, the traffic rules and the recycling garbage is the two things that shocked me the most. But other than that, I actually don't feel much cultural shock because uh, in terms of culture and eating, I think Japan and China is very similar. So the
Yeah,
thing you just said, when people praises you, you never say, "Oh, thank you." You just say, "Oh, no." It's a very East Asian thing to do.
yeah,
The same in China, and
Mm.
being super polite and all the things. It's kind of familiar to me, so I don't feel that shock. And what else? Maybe it's about the shoes. So when you enter certain places, like
you have to take off your shoes. I mean,
yeah, you
that's
have
kind of
that's very annoying to me.
yeah. They have
Now
like
I have to tie
even
my shoelaces every time. Oh man, why do you have to force me to take off my shoes?
they even have like different shoes for different locations. Like you have your bath
Yeah,
shoes, you
and
have
you
your
provide you
living room
slippers.
shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so that's annoying. But other than that, I can't think of anything that we consider shock.
yeah.
Mm,
I mean, those are the big ones because since
mm,
I can't come from America, but that said, I already knew the Japanese culture do somewhat decently. So it was actually I felt like I was probably able to integrate fairly easily. But it is
yeah,
very different to how it is in America, I won't lie.
yeah,
Do you learn Japanese? This question is for Max. Do you learn Japanese before you moved to Japan, or you learn while being in Japan?
yeah. So first, I learned Japanese during my high school for 3 years, but that wasn't very. That's not enough. So the first time I came to Japan, it was in Kyoto, and
Hmm.
it's a language school. So I studied there for half a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost learning Japanese exclusively, and also preparing for university entrance exams. Yeah, so you have to apply to each university, and if you pass, you can go. Yeah, lucky for me, the first university I applied was Kagoshima University, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Do you think that it was it more challenging to learn Japanese than English, or somehow you had some more affinity? You had some affinity towards Japanese over English. I don't know. I'm just curious.
So if the situation is for me as a person whose mother tongue is Chinese,
Mhm,
and if this person has zero foundation for both languages,
mhm, mhm,
English and Japanese, it'll be easier to learn Japanese because they have a lot of kanji
mhm,
and it's the
Chinese
same
characters,
kanji.
yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times they mean the same thing, but also there are times they mean totally different things.
mhm.
Yeah.
So it'll be easier for you to learn kanji. However, everything else is totally different, like grammar structure and then the
Yeah.
katakana. There's no katakana in Chinese. You only
Chinese,
have
yeah.
kanji. Yeah, and in terms of grammar structure, it's more like English than Japanese. But since kanji is such a major part of Japanese, I would say it'll be easier to learn Japanese. However, it's different for me because I have started to learn English since I was a first year in my primary school.
Mhm.
So I must be 8 or something. But I first started to learn Japanese when I was in high school. So so English have like 12 years ahead. So that's a huge advantage. So of course, to me, it's much easier to learn English because I already have all those foundations built up. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
it really depends on people.
Yeah. It kind of weird for me when I was taking other language classes. I tried doing Spanish in high school and I did for like 3 years, but I lost all of it. I can't really
Mm.
remember too much. But like when I started doing Japanese for only one semester, it just clicked with me a little bit easier. I probably because like I was so intrigued with the culture as a child, but still I didn't properly learn it until I was 18, 19. And it stuck with me longer than Spanish has. So I'll say that much. It was really useful when I was in Japan, and somewhat useful when I had to talk to Akane.
mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely helped. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah.
The hardest part of those is that I don't have a conversation partner to
Ah.
actually have a. I never really got to the conversational level of Japanese
Mhm.
because like it was everyone was learning at the same time and whatnot. Everyone was speaking English, so I didn't really have the opportunity to really talk to someone who's Japanese and able to have that conversation with. So
Mm.
I kind of lost speaking a little bit. I can only really speak in a sense like my own benefit, like asking for directions or for help or ordering food or whatnot.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, because it's difficult to find the Japanese environment in America, right? Of course, you have Japanese immigrants, but they don't necessarily speak Japanese.
Nope.
And it seems to me that the only place suitable to practice Japanese is in Japan, and
Mm,
it's not that easy to be here.
Yeah.
mm.
I mean, if only I had a Japanese girlfriend or something like that.
You know what?
Really.
I remember that I had a conversation with this Japanese person, and she said that the best way to learn a language is to find a partner that speaks that language, and And
The one thing I'll say though is that I heard that in Japanese it's like a gender-based language as well, like masculine, feminine. So it's better to
Yeah.
learn Japanese with a male partner as opposed to a female because you're supposed to orient yourself in a certain way. Like guys don't say watashi, right? They mainly say oi, or if they're young, they say boku, right? A lot more. It's just
Yeah.
definitely in a more masculine sentence structure.
Yeah, I actually speak of that. I actually know an American guy in Japan here,
Hmm.
and he's married to a Japanese lady for like 5 or 6 years now, and his Japanese is still horrible. So
Oh, let's go. So,
yeah, I don't know the situation there, but it's
dang.
interesting to think about.
I think part of it is just you have to be willing to commit and practice all the time.
Mm,
I mean, yeah, part of it is just having a partner to talk to consistently.
mm.
Yeah. So how did you come into? I'm assuming you're fluent by the way in Japanese. How did you at least
Relatively,
get to the level of proficiency that you have today? I mean,
yeah. So of course you have to know certain amount of vocabulary in order to understand basic sentences. And you
hmm,
also need to know some basic grammar so you can use them. And when you meet those two requirements, the risk is to try your best to blend in the environment, like talk to people each day and listen to people speaking that
hmm,
language.
so
So
this guy. Yeah.
yeah, I think when I was in high school, I was listening to the Japanese kaiwa. So it's like listening practice.
Hmm,
We listen to tapes where two Japanese people talk, and it's so difficult for me to follow them,
hmm, hmm.
even though I know each word, because my brain is not adjust to that Japanese, I don't know, level, or it's not there.
Hmm,
But
hmm.
after I came to Japan, because everybody around me is speaking Japanese, it's kind of like my brain is slowly adjust to
The
receiving Japanese and
patterns.
understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think environment is really important.
So this guy.
but I'll agree.
That makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah. Were you learning? Oh, by the way, two questions. How long have you been in Japan so far? And were you
I
learning
guess
English? Sorry, how long?
I've been here for 5 years.
Ah, five.
So
Okay.
the first 6 months was in Kyoto, and then I spent every minute of my life in Kagoshima,
Oh, okay.
basically.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So was that the first place you visited in Japan, or or you had visited Japan in the past? You
Oh,
know?
it's the first time actually. Yeah. Because I
Ah,
don't like to travel, like I said.
ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So and were you learning English uh while learning Japanese simultaneously? You know?
Yeah. So when I was in China, of course, I was in school, and English is it's mandatory to learn English.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah. It's a 第二言語. Do you know what I mean? Uh, Second language. So in school, they will teach you a foreign language as the second language,
Mm.
Hmm.
and that's what they teach in China. I think in America it's Spanish or something like
Yeah,
French.
Spanish is the most popular language
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that's taught here.
yeah. So in order to graduate, like you have to learn Spanish, right? I have to learn
They
English.
let us choose which language to um
Oh,
well they have the option. Like my school, for example, had Vietnamese, Spanish, and also French. So you spend 3 years in any language, you're good. But I know that some other schools have Chinese as an option, Cantonese or Mandarin, and German definitely is an option as well. So I mean, so long
Hmm.
as you pick a language and stick with it for a couple of years and pass the class, then yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah, that's
But
good. We don't get to pick.
Oh, it's the okay.
that makes sense though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, same in Peru. If you go to a public school, it's mandatory that all students have to learn English. It's just
Hmm.
the way it is. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I see the point of doing that because
Yeah.
I mean, my mother tongue is Spanish. The mother tongue of Kevin is English, and your mother tongue is Mandarin, and we're all communicating in English. So I think
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. Yeah.
That's the importance of English. But yeah,
Hmm.
but that was one of the things that is most difficult for a lot of immigrants. Try to adjust your brain to the language of the country you are
Yeah.
in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the biggest challenge, definitely.
And the
And
other thing is if you don't speak it so often, you kind of lose your skill. Like for you, I'm assuming you don't have many opportunities to speak your mother tongue, right? Cantonese. So like, do you sometimes forget some words, you know, if you're trying to speak in the language?
Yeah. So actually, my mother tongue is Mandarin,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and actually, like you said, because I happen to use it for not happen to use it. I use it, but not very often.
Yeah.
So, I only you. So because for the 5 years I really use it, it certainly has become rusty in a lot of ways. Yeah, interesting thing is, so this semester I met a girl from China at some class, and
Yep.
then I was talking to her in Chinese, and he asked, "Hey, are you a Taiwanese or are you from Hong Kong or something?" I said, what? Why? And she said, "Oh yeah, your Chinese sounds so southern." I was, what? I I was kind of confused because maybe because I don't use it for
mm,
such a long time. It's so rusty. I sound like people from other regions.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
you lose the accent because I know the Japanese as well is very heavily on the accent and tone.
Mm.
So I'm assuming your brain just got rewired a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's probably gonna be the same thing for me if I let's say live in Japan for like a decade or so. I would probably be extremely rusty on English. Well, not extremely, but definitely I'll be forgetting some words.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what was your first language, Kevin?
It was Vietnamese, but
Oh.
I don't really speak it very well because I never really bothered to learn it.
Mm.
I have
When
to
was the
use it for
last
work.
time you speak it?
I use it every time for work, so every Saturday, but I never really got proficient with the language initially.
Oh.
So it's just been bad to say the least.
Mm.
Mm.
But do you think it's like enough to communicate with other Vietnamese?
Barely. It's at a point where like because I'm just giving them simple directions and commands because I work at a eye doctor office.
Oh,
So I just need them to do some basic stuff. But it's definitely really hard for me to explain things as complicated like insurance to them and some of the offers. I definitely
Mm.
don't have the number system down correctly. So I can't really explain to them like this is how much money you have. I just literally point at the number and whatnot. So it's definitely really tough for me. I'm not gonna lie. I do get a lot of heat for it at work from my boss because I'm not as proficient as I should be.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah. But is
Yeah.
it a long term for you to be able to be proficient in that language, or
It's hard because the thing is Vietnamese is actually really freaking tough the language to learn because you combine Japanese, I mean not Japanese, Chinese with French. It's a
Oh.
mix between the two.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. For me, since my mother tongue is Spanish, for me it's kind of easy to understand the other Roman. Romance languages, Portuguese and Italian, but French is like a whole different thing. I don't even understand it. And I can just imagine combining that with Chinese. It's like that weird mixture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
definitely pretty difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way: you don't need your Vietnamese to order dishes from the Vietnamese restaurants here in San
I mean,
Jose.
I could say it, but like, yeah, I usually prefer not to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely something I do carry a lot. Not a lot, but it is shameful to me, I guess. Not saying that like I'm gonna pick up and learn the language anytime soon because I'm so focused on my career, but like definitely I do feel bad because a lot of my colleagues and whatnot can speak fluently and I can't, so I feel very left out. But I mean, I made up for it when my family was in Japan because I was able to at least communicate better than my Vietnamese. So I was like, yes, I should honestly just immigrate there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do, do you feel more talking about, feeling like, oh, I'm not because I don't have the skill, I can speak the language, or I don't understand this part of my culture. Do you, Max, do you feel like you have in a way you have like lost your essence as a Chinese, or do you feel like you now feel like, oh no, I feel more Chinese than ever, or something like that?
I'm actually kind of happy that I have lost some essence of Chinese
Oh,
because
Yeah.
mm.
uh, you guys have never been to China, right?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's a really toxic environment to grow up and having your life. So a lot of
Okay.
Chinese lessons are not that good in other countries. For example, uh, if you grow up in China, you will tend to be very paranoid about whether other people are lying to you or not,
Ah,
because people are big liars in China,
mm.
and of course that's not healthy, right? If you need to worry constantly about whether you're being lied to, so and many others.
Mm.
So I think it's actually good to lose some of
Oh
these
yeah, of
lessons.
course,
Yeah.
of course. I'm just thinking about like
Yeah.
the positive aspects of China as a
Well,
country.
ever since you've been in Japan, do you feel more Japanese? Do you think you have like that aspect of you like ingrained into who you are since you've been living there for a good bit now? Like you have at least some Japanese aspect about you, you think?
Not really. I'm sorry, but I do feel like when I left China, then I'm right now, it's totally different because living in a foreign country on yourself for 5 years really matures you in a lot of ways. I was really just a ungrateful kid
Yeah, that
when
makes
I left.
sense.
Yeah, but now I learned so much in
Mm,
these 5 years. Yeah,
mm,
so in that sense, I'm totally different.
mm,
But I don't know if I'm becoming more Japanese. It's difficult to say.
mm.
Mm.
Do you think that being surrounded, no, let me put it in a different way. Do you feel like in the long term you're gonna let go of all your like traditions or
Chinese.
cultural
Mm.
essence that is part of you as a Chinese, or do you think that you're gonna keep them no matter what?
I'm more than happy to lose them. And if I have a child someday in Japan, I will not teach the child to speak Chinese, nor let the child receive any Chinese education,
Hmm.
because I think that's not good generally
Hmm.
Okay.
compared
Yeah.
to what you can receive in Japan. Because a lot of things that they taught me in China are just nonsense. they taught you this because
Yeah.
they want you to obey, be obedient, and
Yeah.
I don't really appreciate that.
Right. Right.
So maybe the less Chinese lessons, the better.
Yeah.
But would you also like let go of like the food, you know, Chinese
The
food?
one
Would
or
you
the
give that
food.
up? Yeah.
You know what? Interestingly, you mentioned this. So I do think life is more than just food. You know, of course, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy food,
Right.
and
No,
I
no,
can't
of
live
course, of
without
course.
them.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're asking me, can I
Mhm.
just give up Chinese food? I think totally. Yeah, I don't eat Chinese food.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll be totally fine.
Mhm. Interesting. No, it's just that as part of like our class, we read an article on how the Korean identity was basically didn't allow that Koreans in a way to have a mixed identity. So it didn't allow for space for, you know, for a Japanese Korean. People, according to the article, the Korean identity didn't was stronger, was more influential, more established within Koreans to a point that they could not let go of of what made them feel Koreans. You know, the food. You other obviously that's not the only element, but I think that's that's the most common one among cultures. You know, when we talk about food,
Yeah,
you
so the thing you just mentioned is more
have
like Korean nationalism. So
uh-huh.
it's about we as Koreans and our country, our Minzoku ethnicity. So it's more like do you know what a nationalism is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what they are doing in the article you mentioned
Mhm.
because they want to develop this kind of sensibility so
Mhm.
people will be more loyal to Korea, to their people,
Mhm.
and they are more justified to have their own nation. So I think that's the idea behind it. And it's the same situation in China, of course, and in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong or anything, just
Mhm.
you can understand why they
Yeah, of
exist.
course. I mean, it's country because I didn't like what I found. I didn't like a few parts of Peru. A few aspects of Peru. All of them were related to the opportunities available there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I totally understand your point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay, I think Marcio is free. You're not
Um,
moving.
is he frozen?
Is it just me?
No, no
Yeah, I
frozen.
think he's frozen.
Oh, okay. I
Oh,
thought
you're
you were
not
frozen.
frozen.
I got you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to add to the conversation? Like, anything else that you
Well,
want to talk
actually,
about in the episode or about yourself?
yeah. So I wonder. I already heard Kevin's opinion on the show, but you never talked about yours yet. So what's your opinion on the show?
What was your opinion, Marcisio, on the episode 2? Like, how did you think about like the betrayal and the overall opinions and thoughts?
Yeah,
You asking me?
Yeah,
yeah.
because I was the one who
Um,
mainly spoke
it,
on
yeah, it's all that
it.
we have talked about, right? It's everything that we have talked about up to this point.
Pretty much the same thing as me. Overall performance is good. The portrayal is good and whatnot. Because you already
Mhm.
seen the entire series already.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And so, what's your
so,
overall
the
impression?
over. Oh, sorry. I missed the word overall. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely insightful because again, it's telling you a story that you are not really familiar with. Like, for example, if I told you about, a long time ago, Peru had a war with Chile, and it happened around in the 19th century, and a lot of people died.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, you didn't know that, first of all, but my point is that I'm just told you something that happened, and that's it. I'm not giving you any more details, and that's telling what happened to me when I was in high school. They just gave me this information about what happened in the past, but now I'm learning about the stories that lives or hypothetical, story of.
Basically, it's a little more in depth. So that's the nice part.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, I do see why people from somewhere other than East Asia will find this show interesting because they are not familiar with these history and these countries, right? Just like I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with the war between Peru and Chile.
Mhm.
If they made a show about that, I'll probably be very interested, but Marcio will be bored probably because you already know that pretty well.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
this is the same thing happened to me when I'm watching this show because I already know this. I was taught extensively on this,
About the Japanese, yeah.
yeah, in school. So when I was taught, oh, come on, not again.
That
Yeah,
makes
so
sense,
I'm
yeah.
tired of this. Yeah, and also I don't really like the writing in this show that much.
Mhm.
I
Really.
think it's full of common tropes. For example, do you remember in episode 2, there's a scene where Sanja was walking around the dock and a few gangsters, Japanese gangsters, were harassing her and
Mhm.
attempted to rape
Yeah.
her. Yeah, the moment these guys said the word, I know exactly what's going to happen, which is they will do something nasty to her, and the guy Hang Shi will show up
Uh,
from nowhere and save her. And that happened. Well, from that, I just, oh, come on. Let's be more original here.
Yeah, no, actually now you mentioned it, that part was pretty cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Here comes the prince, right? His
yeah.
horse to save the princess. Here I am, my love.
Uh, Yeah,
Okay.
hence why I was saying earlier, like there was gonna be some biases with this show, but I think it'll be more fair. It's more fair than if it was solely produced by either a Japanese production or a Korean production.
Mhm.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I do I do agree that it's a little bit on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I really don't like is in the end of episode 2, they just randomly decide to have sex in the middle of the woods for
Yeah,
some reason. They, so a few minutes ago they were picking mushrooms, and then Sandra comes back looking very distressed and pale. And I was like, is she bitten by a snake or something? Because she
yeah,
doesn't look all right. And then the guy starts undressed her. What's like, what's going on here? Is
yeah.
is he is he checking the wound, the bite mark? No, they're just
Yeah, because
decided to
they
do it.
literally just transitioned from the grandson
Yeah,
talking to the one girl that he liked that he was used to
yeah.
date or something, right? And then he transitions to that. I was like, what this came out lesbian.
That thing is just nonsensical. There's no foreshadowing, no, and no reason. It's their
I think the
second
way
date.
that they did that was literally just to show the portrayal of like the grandson's love story and then the grandma's love story, like just side by side comparison. But overall,
Yeah,
yeah,
but then
I was so
better
confused.
ways to show it than just let them have sex during their second date. You have to remember this is Korea in 1930s, which is super conservative place and time and culture.
Well, here's the thing. This is how
And
you know it's an American production.
oh yeah, yeah. You know, if this is 2020 California, I won't be surprised.
Yeah,
Honestly, I will be a
it
little
probably
surprised, but
was.
I say okay, people might do it in real life, but it is not. It is about 100 years ago
Mhm.
in Korea, rural Korea, of all places. This shouldn't happen, and
That's true.
it just destroys my immersion
Right. Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's not. I
but
mean, I don't think the show is trying to pretend to be the exact portrayal of what happened because one,
yeah,
we're never gonna. I think we're unfortunately we will never get a show like that because they have to sell first of all. That
yeah,
so
that's
that
right.
needs to have interesting scenes. The actors having kind of a passion scene. They need to celebrate.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, right.
But
But my point is that
yeah,
at the end of the day, they're just trying to show how the context what the context was like, just a little idea. And that's even and the point is that that's even more than we had before watching the show. Because I mean, as a foreigner, I had no idea what a traditional Korean clothes look like. I don't know, what the food looked like back then. If it was different from now, if it is the same. It was the same. I had no idea, but now I was able to learn about it because of the show. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it
Yeah,
was funny. Yeah,
however, in my case,
it's
I
definitely
have
not
some
very funny.
idea.
Mhm.
That's why it's so unrealistic, unlogical for me to watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
And
it's an American production. What can I say? It's
yeah.
produced by American, and there's a half, or I think Korean director as well, co-director. So,
Mm.
they're gonna do things in a more Western style as opposed to Eastern.
Maybe they need to sell. They need to sell the show to all the audiences, to all
Yeah,
the
that's true.
Koreans and people in Latin
Yeah, I'm pretty
America.
sure the intended audience was for Americans or Western audience.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah, but sometimes the product they come up with is actually like more compatible with other demographics sometimes. You know.
Mm.
Anyway, but yeah, it's the story is a little bit difficult to follow because they jump, from one time
between the two
to
like
other.
timelines, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the only. Uh, that would be the only problem that it is very noticeable. I mean, would be obvious to anybody. I think.
Mm.
Yeah, like genuinely, I'm more interested in the grandson's
Cancer
story than
story. Yeah,
anyone else's. He seems like the most interesting.
yeah. I love his suits.
Who?
They're just
Solomon?
The grandson, the boy, the guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I honestly,
Solomon. Yeah,
Solomon was his name. Yeah.
hmm,
His
yeah. I do
current
like
story
him.
is the most interesting because one, he was born and raised in Japan, so he has the Japanese how do I put this nature, I guess.
hmm,
But he still has his roots of Korean, but he went to America for a bit, so he has that as well as a part of him. So just seeing
Mm.
him interact with people was the most interesting part because he comes from multiple aspects: Korean, Japanese, and also American. So that's why I kind of find his story the most interesting.
hmm.
Question asked by our business during the wedding. I think it was in the beginning of
Yeah, I
that
think
question.
I remember. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he was talking to the American and the other Japanese girl about like, oh, you guys get questions when talking to Americans, like, oh, what Asian are you? The guessing
Oh,
game
yeah.
and
That's
all
the
that stuff.
guessing game. Yeah.
Yes,
Which
So,
I'll be honest,
uh,
I personally enjoy. I like to see what people will say. I'm keeping tallies. Like you said, I looked Japanese, or I have Japanese features. So that's like another one. Usually most of the time I get Korean, but other times I've actually been told that I look Chinese, especially when one of my classmates he was someone from Taiwan and he said that I look Taiwanese to him. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just keeping track because it's fun.
yeah. So I wonder what's your guys' interpretation on the blood type conversation. So I can paraphrase it. So that's Japanese guy, Abe-san,
Abe-san,
which is the father of the bride in that wedding. And
Mhm.
apparently he's this very rich and powerful guy. And
Mhm.
he met Solomon for the
Yeah.
first time. So the things he asked is, are you from Korea? And he said yes. And what's your blood type? And Solomon was kind of confused. Why ask my blood type?
Mhm.
And he answered O. And then Abe-san said, O type. So you must be very optimistic. And then someone just nodded or something. And it doesn't happen what matters next. So I was very interested by this conversation because by asking Solomon's blood type, which is totally unrelated thing, when you meet someone for the first time, would you ask their blood type? It's it's so weird.
That's
So
okay. In essence, that's the same conversation as asking what is your what was it, horoscope? Like, okay, you know in Chinese you have I mean even in Korean and Vietnamese as well, like you were born in a certain year, like oh they're a monkey or they're a
oh
dragon
yeah,
or rat or something like that. And I'm assuming maybe it has something to do with blood over there. It's
it
basically
could
like
be
that.
that.
That's
Yeah,
how I'm
and
interpreting it.
yeah, and when Solomon said, "Oh," and the Abe-san's answer is so fascinating to me because he said, "O type, oh, you must be optimistic." So, so to me, the subtext under his conversation is you, as a Korean, dare to show up in my daughter's wedding. You must be very optimistic because you will never get what you want. That's
To me,
what
how
I'm reading here.
yeah, how I'm reading that is similar, as in like, oh, you're optimistic, as in you'll be one of us, a Japanese or whatever, like be
How dare
accepted.
you to
But
show up here?
like that's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, because the tone he said it's obviously very, not very, a little hostile. It's like
yeah.
you're not being friendly when you are saying like that. I would think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I did not perceive it as, oh, you are optimistic to because you must think you are good enough to be one of us, or like, or using the same or interpret it as, oh, based on your sorry, compared to like this your zodiac, your sign. I had
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really interesting interpretations, but I just took it as, no, these guys is trying to make Solomon feel as if he doesn't fit in, he just,
Yeah, that's definitely part of the reason.
right.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line.
yeah.
He's telling him, you don't fit in here. Look around you. We are all Japanese, and you are the only Korean who is not, who will never be like us ever.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think this whole wedding scene, there
Mhm.
are three major conversations happen. The first one is when Solomon was talking to his childhood friend, which is the Japanese guy
Oh
at the
God.
very beginning. I don't know if you remember. So that guy, so they were talking as for what they were talking at first. So basically, he's acting like because Solomon is a Korean, so he's not really part of us.
Mhm.
Us means Japanese. And
Mhm.
then Solomon brought up a joke that this guy's father told when they were kids.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember the joke.
Mhm.
So, so it's about Koreans eating habits. So according to him,
Mhm.
because when Koreans were eating soup or something, they like to bury their head in the bowl like this. So so there's a Japanese joke about Koreans are raised by dogs because that's how they eat. Of course, this is very racist and totally not cool.
Mm.
But the reason they brought this up is, of course, trying to tell us all those prejudice against Korean people in Japan, of
Mhm.
course. And shortly by that, followed by that, it's Solomon talking to the lady sitting next to him uh, during the wedding. So first, it's the guessing game.
Mhm.
When you look very East Asian, you are either Chinese or Japanese. And Solomon says, never Korean. It's not even an option.
Mhm.
Which is
So
kind of funny
they are being
nowadays.
ignored. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
now
prejudice,
it's
right?
now it's normal nowadays. But yeah, back then I don't think it was.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I can totally relate to that because
yeah,
uh when it comes to like the guessing game,
mm,
but looking at focusing on the second part of the second part of the conversation, when someone asks me about my ethnicity, they never say I'm Japanese, obviously, but they always ask me if I'm Mexican, right? Because here in California, there are a lot of them. Just happens to
Yeah.
be that way. Yeah, yeah. And they ask me, "Oh, are you Mexican?" Or if I'm not Mexican, they ask me, "Are you Brazilian or even Puerto Rican?" They never get Peru. They never guess it is Peru. You know, they never guess that I'm
mm,
from Peru. So that's kind of frustrating because they get it wrong
Well,
every
I would say part of the
mm,
reason is just because people are unfamiliar with
time.
uh geography. That's another thing.
Uh, that's
Because like there was a joke in King of the Hill where um the MC was talking to one of their Asian friends and he was asking, "Hey, are you Chinese or Japanese?" And the guy was like, "I am neither. He's Laos." And like it's just because like
mm.
honestly like other Asians don't really exist because people are just well, one ignorant and just they don't know. That's from
Cambodia?
like people like to just
Is that food?
generalize, huh?
Cambodia? Is that food?
Yeah, essentially, just like the big ones.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was just I also felt very grossed out when they compare that Koreans to dogs because that's so oh my god that just kind of I that got me pissed off. It's just
yeah,
so
yeah.
humiliating. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm proud of being Peruvian, just like Max, I left Peru for a reason. But I don't like my people. I don't like others comparing my people, my culture, all that things that I value at the end of the day to something, that is less valuable that yeah, they consider less valuable, that
Mm,
they're inferior, we're inferior for some reason. That's just ridiculous because it just doesn't fit in. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't match the circumstances that we are experiencing right now in the world, or
mm,
here in the US at least, or in the Bay Area. I don't know, but yeah, I just,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
And I remember this show was in 1980s, right?
Mhm.
So back then, I think those prejudices will only be more harsh, right, compared to now.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you gotta take in consideration is that at the end of the day, it's again a production. So they're just trying to dramatize it. We can't really say for sure, at least in the 80s, that it was exactly like that one for one. I'm sure there's instances or a lot of
Right.
older Japanese probably felt that way, but I mean overall, Japan really changed exponentially. Like Sensei said, like the modern day Japan is different from back then. Like from even just a couple of years ago, like a couple of decades ago. is completely different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just that you have to be so unlucky to meet these people, because
Yeah.
like Max is having a good experience in Japan, but unfortunately others cannot say the same, right? They ended up meeting the wrong people and got discriminated against, or they made them feel unwelcome. That's it's reality. That's reality too. Even though you don't see it, it's still there somewhere. I know it doesn't happen to everybody or the majority, but it's there, and it's a little thing that it's like that little bug that it's going around and bothering you, and it doesn't go away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. So is there anything else you found interesting in the show?
I mean, I think we touched on all the key points for the most part.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, same here. I think we already touched on the main point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Anything else any anybody would like to add or not?
I don't know.
Any questions for us or anything like that?
Yeah. Feel free to ask questions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My hand.
Yes. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. His little hair is not going down. Mm.
So what time is it in San
It's
Jose?
like almost 12 o'clock. It's 11:47.
Yeah.
11:47. Wow, that's late.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for
Workers.
keeping you guys so long.
No, you're good.
We're hard
Yeah,
workers.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a lot more interesting than last time, just because it was kind of really hard to communicate with Akane, and and the other two weren't even on. But I mean, despite that, I still enjoy the conversation. He's talking to Japanese people in general, but like
Mm.
definitely we couldn't really talk much about the episode. Like last time it was just me and Marcicio talking about the first episode.
Mm.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah. And I feel it was more interesting this time, because we
We
have.
actually able. I mean, you speak English like very
Oh, of
fluently and very
course.
well, so
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
easier for us to
Thank you.
communicate. Like I wish I was as fluent in Japanese, so I could probably have a conversation, but I can't.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
be there someday.
we'll see someday. That's if I find a Japanese wife.
Good luck.
How's that coming along for you actually? Now that I'm curious, how's your relationship
Uh,
status been in Japan?
well, I'm in a period that's super busy because
Mhm.
it's kind of difficult to explain. So this is my last semester here,
Mm-hmm.
and I also need to prepare for the graduate school.
Yeah.
And so the result is I being super busy.
Mhm.
That's why it's so difficult to schedule me with you guys. Yeah, and that's why I don't think I'll have time for any of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm afraid.
But you are interested
Dang.
in having a girlfriend in the future, or sorry, just a partner in general, or a relationship in the future. Are you interested in that or not?
Of course, but there are priorities, you know.
Hmm. Okay. Well, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, same here. But Kevin is looking for a girlfriend. So if you know any,
Trying.
If
Dude,
you
the
know
biggest
any,
issue of that is just my is communication. I used to need people in Japanese. That's like the main killer. That's the issue. Unless there's a Japanese student who could speak fluent English, then and is willing to maybe teach me some Japanese, then yeah, I don't see it happening, to be honest. I'm a realist.
Yeah, I think in 5 years there are rarely any Japanese students who can speak fluent
Speak
English.
English, yeah,
So
I realized
yeah,
that when I was like 14, which is why I like was trying to learn Japanese, but I just didn't have time to. I already know that's like the biggest down killer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is.
Well, now you know Max, and if he happens to know, someone who is looking for a
Yeah, you
Vietnamese
sent me the line.
American Vietnam. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
Vietnamese
If
American.
anybody asks, I'll give your line to them. Don't worry.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think I could
Yeah.
trick the Japanese family to into believing that I'm Japanese? You think? Let's say
How
I
you
get a
can
Japanese
speak
girlfriend. You
Japanese?
think you think okay, if I speak fluent Japanese, do you think I could convince their side, their family that I am Japanese myself?
I think you can because you look very Japanese, but I don't think you should lie to them. That would be a bad idea.
Of course. But
Oh.
in terms of convincing, because that the main issue, at least I know, at least I'm well aware of, is the fact that like so long as you could convince them that you are a Japanese, it's a little bit easier for them to swallow. Especially since I, like you said, could look like the part. I'm actually very familiar with the culture itself. I was like, I could really easily, when I was there, I integrated fairly easily.
Hmm.
Just the issue is, you got like present yourself as a Japanese, like we were saying earlier, like they more traditional Japanese. It's hard for them to accept someone else into the society unless like they are fully blood Japanese or at least have some blood. Even
Hmm.
then, I heard that Hafus are still they don't feel like they belong necessarily.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you certainly have the look to deceive them.
Yeah.
Now you only need to work on the
I
language
just need
part.
to work on the language. That's the only part, but that's kind of hard without having a conversation partner. I mean, it is
Yeah.
what it is. But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah. Do you anyone who is part of like the is anyone does Kagoshima University offer English major to the students, or is that an option for students to major in
Of
English?
course. What I'm doing now is
Oh,
major in English.
hmm. But with a concentration in American literature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
of course. Yeah.
yeah. I remember some of the students are English majors,
right, right, right.
but
Yeah.
I'm not sure how fluent they are, to be honest. Like you said, like of our experience of Akane and whatnot, I feel like that's how majority of the experiences will go. Not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, just I'm being realistic here.
Uh, I mean, you have
Yeah.
to keep looking.
Oh yeah, no,
Uh,
for sure, for sure.
should we stop recording this because we're talking about?
This is a little awkward. I think Sensei will have a good laugh because remember what she said in class, like out loud, saying that, "Oh my
Yeah, yeah.
god, if only
Oh, you guys
you're so
should consider it.
本当に可愛いで
You're
す."
talking to.
I,
Yeah, she said it. She said
she said
it.
that in class. She literally was, "Ah, すごい本当に可愛いですね."
Shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about like some of the students. He was like, "Holy
yeah.
yeah." It is almost 12 in the morning. It's 11:55 right now.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. You
Yeah.
have any more questions? And yeah, I'll be down to chat. But other than that,
Yeah, I
I
don't want
think we
to
should.
bother you sleep.
Yeah. I have a midterm tomorrow too. Uh,
Yeah.
All right.
so do you have any questions? Any other questions or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The same to you too. Yeah. You can ask me anytime. Yeah.
I think
No
are
problem.
we partnered again for next week?
Sure.
No, I'm asking, are we for
How
next
are
week
we? I
for
don't
episode
know.
3?
I'm not sure. Probably not
I,
because we are rotating. We're
oh,
I thought it was supposed to be partners for like 2 weeks or so. Right? We just got
Yeah, but
changed because of
the
schedule
second week, right?
conflict. I don't know.
Probably it's just they don't know about it. We our class knows about what you're talking about, but they don't know. I think that we're gonna have to change because this would be considered our second week with the
Yeah.
that group of Akane and her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to partner with
Someone else in our class instead of me.
and then someone else from the that class in Japan.
Passionate, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what's gonna that's what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then you just feel free to message me online if you ever just want to talk about something. Like
Oh, yeah.
I know the time
Yeah.
difference is pretty big, but I will reply back.
You wanna
Yeah, me too.
hang out someday?
Maybe if I'm ever
I
back in
mean,
Japan, we could hang out.
sure, sure, sure. I mean, it's a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have social media really, so there's no other way to connect with me aside from line. So if you want to know anything about me,
Sure,
feel free to message me.
no problem.
Mhm. Yeah,
I think we could end it here then.
yeah. I think
Can
we'll.
you
Yeah.
make sure to send me the link, by the way, Marcisio,
Yeah, yeah,
again?
yeah, yeah.
All right, sweet. Thank you.
Let's